In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's it going, everyone? This is Frankie Cavone of Mirth Films, and we are live from the office. We're here with a very special guest by the name of The Age. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me.
The Age is one of just the Capital Region's, I don't know, one of my favorite singer and songwriters that exist in just the Capital Region. You've been around for quite some time now, and you definitely have your own niche in this music community. And just how have you been?
Man, I've been doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. It's these times have been difficult for everyone in different ways, but
Definitely.
you just gotta keep it moving, keep doing your thing, and you have to find ways to evolve in your craft.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You just keep moving and staying positive,
Most definitely. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. But before we get into it, I just want to go over a couple things with you guys. Thank you again for tuning in to episode 11 of the podcast. We just have a quick announcement that on February 15th at 7 p.m., Candy Ambulance will be joined with Quilio live on Mirth Films from the Hollow in downtown Albany. And we're really excited to get this music live streaming series kicked off again. Especially, in a time where there's not a lot going on, we want to try to bring the music to you guys. And again, this is all free. There will be a $100 gift card that we will be raffling off, with all of the proceeds going right to the bands. And we're just really thankful to have Nine Pin Cider as our sponsor, and just being back at the Hollow and seeing music on stage there again. There was the Pearl Palooza that recently happened back in September of 2020, which went phenomenal, and just with the great crew they already have there, we're just excited to be on board with them. But yeah, so man, I just to get in everything with you, I first saw you perform at 2018's Larkfest.
Yeah.
So bring me back just a little bit. When did you start calling yourself The Age?
I started calling myself The Age like in I think the end of 2016, right before I moved out to Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to find a way to kind of brand myself, because I was like, I'm gonna be going to a new place, and I want to find a name that I feel really kind of is going to be something that I can be known by, and my nickname already was Age. That's what
okay.
Since I was
and it was short for Adrian.
Adrian, exactly.
Okay.
So I was like, let me just put a "the" in front of it and call it a day. And so it was great because it's my nickname, but it also works as an artist name.
Yeah, it is a great name, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, shout out to my parents for calling me Age, and then I kind of just had the easy job of just putting the "the" in front of it.
Always gotta thank mom and dad.
Yeah, always gotta shout out to moms and pops. But yeah, so that was kind of how the name came to be, and so since then that's what I've been rocking with.
That's awesome. And now you play solo, but in a situation where when you're playing a Larkfest, you have just a group of musicians you go to that is your backup. Would you call them a backup band? Do they have any involvement in any writing in any part of what you do, or?
So when it comes to so I write all the songs myself, but when it comes to live, they do help with the arrangements. Because if you have been to an acoustic show of mine, you know that the acoustic show, the energy is just very different than the live band, I usually play with 4 other guys, so I usually guitar player, bass player, keyboard player, and drummer. So shout out to John Drabick, Daniel Lawson, Marcel Johnson, and Dylan Susky. So those are my guys.
Oh,
so
wow.
I call them the Gents because they're my backing band.
The Gents, right?
The Gents, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But they're really my homies, and they're musicians who I have a great amount of respect for. So anytime
awesome.
I have the opportunity to play with the full band, I always try to, because it's so much fun. And it's and just having cats on stage who have your back, that's it makes my job a lot easier. I feel a lot more comfortable performing, and I just have a lot more fun when I'm playing with a full band.
I mean, it's definitely got to be cool to hear the music that you write in different, just kind of orchestrated in different instruments, like having the keys for more harmony, getting getting that full sound that maybe you're trying to when you're playing acoustic.
Yeah.
When you're playing acoustic, you want to give that guitar as much sound as you possibly can, or at least get out as much sound as you possibly can, because you got your 6 strings, you got your flat top on the acoustic, where it's like when you have the full band, it's like, okay, percussion taken care of. Harmony, if I want to, instead of playing, in 2 sections of the neck, at least somebody can cover up the other key of whatever song you're playing.
Yeah.
That's got to be awesome. Did it start off singer-songwriter, then the gents, and then or did you play in a band orchestrated before that?
So I was a guitar player in a band. I was playing with another artist for a couple years. And so I always thought I was going to just be a guitar player in a band.
Yeah.
But I started writing my own songs, and from there, that's kind of when I realized, I was like, okay, I want to start playing out. I want to start sharing my songs with people. So, being an acoustic guitar player, it's easy because I can just pull up really to any place, plug in my acoustic guitar, and then sing if they have a microphone,
Yeah.
So having a band sometimes can be difficult, especially since I moved out to Los Angeles. I really didn't know that many people. So it was just a great thing where I could just literally pull up to open mics with my acoustic guitar and just kind of like play my songs. And then as I started doing that, that's kind of how I started meeting musicians and then kind of like building a community of cats that I play with. But once I actually moved back to New York, that's when I was like, okay, I want to take this to the next level. And I love rock music.
Yeah.
I mean, the first guitar player who I really got into was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, of course, such a good.
And so I love the intensity of rock music, but I don't have a rock and roll voice.
Yeah.
I have like much of a softer, smoother voice. But I wanted to bring that energy that rock and roll has to a show. And so the guys who I picked, they can play like the really smooth, chill stuff, but they also know how to bring a level of intensity to my shows. And so that's why anytime I can have the full band playing, we have like a lot of fun because we bring in like R&B, funk, some rock. I love playing the kind of like, distortion on guitar and stuff like that. So it allows me to do a lot more musically than if I just am playing on my acoustic guitar.
That's cool, man. And what would you say the percentage is of how much you're performing with the gents compared to just you as a singer-songwriter alone, if this world that we're in currently didn't exist?
Oh, so we were supposed to be playing a lot of shows in the city.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
we were linked up with a booking agency that's working down there, and they were literally setting us up with like a good amount of shows in the city. We had a show in the city. I think it was in January, February of last year. This is right before like pandemic hit, and it was sick. It was like the first show that I had played with them in the city. And it was a packed house. People came from upstate. I hit up everybody who I knew in the city. It was nuts. And we took a lot of time to rehearse. We were super tight. I was super comfortable playing with them on stage. Like I got there, I was like, dang, I'm in a new city. I'm gonna be nervous and stuff. Once we started hitting, man, it was great. It was great. And so I think it was Blue City Live. They were the agency that was booking us. They were putting us on for a bunch of shows. We had gotten accepted to do a huge festival in Boston for the summer. And then I was also doing a cross-country tour. So all of that kind of just got clipped by 2020. So that's why I was like, I was bummed out because I'm like, I was really looking forward to playing with those guys more.
Of course.
Doing a lot of like live shows, and we were kind of getting in the rhythm and the groove and coming up with some really good arrangements and stuff. So wasn't able to play it with them as much as I wanted to. But we did get a few shows in 2020. But I'm hoping in the future we'll be able to do more live stuff together.
That's good, man. Well, like you said, it does stink that, unfortunately what we're dealing with is it affects the live entertainment industry so much. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, just from like I try to keep up to date with what all musicians are doing in the capital region. And you're pretty active. You're out doing things. You recently played Martin Luther King, the Martin Luther King special that the city of Albany put on, and you just recently had a live stream at where was it again?
Helsinki.
Helsinki.
In Hudson, yeah.
And so you're doing things actively. You're doing. I mean, I see your Instagram. It's great, and it's like, the one thing that I try to express to people is like, even though, okay, we're maybe on this break, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the people who stay hungry and stay motivated are going to be the people that are going to put themselves in a better position when things do come back, because you got to let people know you're still doing it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many bands out there, and here's a perfect opportunity to kind of capitalize on the situation. You're a photographer. You know, you're able to adapt using a
Mm-hmm.
camera with, you know, not only for the pure essence of having fun, but
Mm-hmm.
you could turn that camera around on you and produce your own videos because you have that skill
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, sets you above. And I mean, it's just cool. Like, I've seen all these musicians throughout the whole pandemic on going live, doing little sets of their music on their pages, and you're the best PR is you. You know, it's just it's you gotta adapt in
Yeah,
2021,
you really do,
especially
man.
like you got Zoom, you have all this stuff, but yeah, so you're playing these live streams, you're doing it, and I gotta ask before we go more forward into what we're talking about. What is it like jumping from playing the capital region to trying to break into another market,
Oh yeah, online.
online, or even just like how when you were, you know, involved with Blue Collar City, and
Oh yeah. Oh
you're playing the city, and but it sounded like you knew some people down there already.
yeah. So I mean, like my whole family's from like Westchester, so like it's not too far from the city. But also
Oh,
like I
okay.
just have friends who like went to college down in the city. I have friends who from like Siena College who are from Long Island,
Oh,
because a lot
nice.
of students from who go to Siena actually are from Long Island or live in Long Island. So I know a decent amount of people in the city, and so I like literally reached out to them, and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be coming down. I really don't play in the city too often. Would love for you to come out and support." But it's weird because I'm like, it was a situation where I was like, okay, I believe in my music. I believe I make good music. But sometimes when you play in your hometown, you're kind of like, maybe people just like the music because they like me, they
Oh,
like my
wow. I didn't think
friends.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and they want to support because of that. So it was cool to go down to the city with a bunch of people, and I love playing in front of people who I have never met before because it's like no BS at all. Like it's like
Great.
either they like you or they don't like you, you know. And the city, it's like, man, people are just brutally honest, and people like just don't care, you know. So going down to the city and actually seeing people being like, this is dope, and having like people come up to me after the show and be like, yo, that was dope, when's your next show? Because a lot of them thought I lived down there. And so I was like, I don't know yet, but we're gonna have to have one soon. So so yeah, breaking into another market can always be difficult. I think when you are someone new, that does have some appeal. It's like, ooh, this is new, you know.
Right,
I know
right.
at least when I was
It's
living in
fresh.
LA,
Yeah.
exactly. People were like, oh, who's this guy? He's from New York, all the way across the country. Let's see what he has to share. Um, so you know, it can be cool in that way, but yeah, it is difficult, man, to like, you know, build a fan base, get people to consistently come out to shows and stuff. But I've always been trying to like always, you know, that's why I try to work at my craft as hard as I can, because I want to give people the best experience that I can, you know.
Of course.
And there was I was doing a show at Howard University, and a woman who was a friend of my dad's was there, and she was telling me, she's like, you got to look at it like this. She's like, let's say your tickets to your show are like 15-20 bucks. She's like, people are deciding to put an hour's worth of their pay, and sometimes even more than that, toward you. You know, they worked an hour for that $20. You know,
Yeah.
and they are deciding to actually use that $20 to actually spend it on and have a good time, experience what you have to offer. And so that kind of changed my whole perspective on, okay, I really got to make sure that every time I go out to play, every time I perform, that I am like bringing my A game. So that's just the mentality that I've been having.
So jumping into you said, you know, you're rock and roll. You loved, you know, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, God, the greatest guitarist of all time. I mean, what when you realize that, okay, I maybe don't have the voice for rock and roll, but I mean, you have your own vibe. It is apparent. And what inspirations do you have that kind of, I don't know, helped you take a step in that direction?
Oh, with the kind of like neo soul kind of
I would
thing.
say I would consider it like soul, like
Okay, yeah.
soul rock almost, like
Yeah, well, for me, D'Angelo is my biggest musical inspiration of all time. I love D'Angelo. He's my favorite artist. He was one of the cats who kind of was pioneering neo soul back in the '90s and the early 2000s. Um, and so he's kind of like the blueprint for me as to what good soul music looks like. And then you have people who came before him, like Stevie Wonder,
of
who was
course.
another incredible artist. Trying to think like Erica Badu. It's another one of my favorites. Maxwell, Music Soul Child. Yeah, a lot of those cats from the neo soul era kind of really had a big influence. And then Jay Dilla, the producer.
Was that music that was shown to you, or did you search out for it?
So my sister was actually gotten neo. She started listening to neo soul music before I really did.
Oh,
I
okay.
remember I'd heard neo soul music like years ago, and the moment that someone said the word neo soul, I heard it for the first time. It's weird. I knew exactly what they were talking about. I was like, I've heard that before, but I haven't heard it in a long time. So when my sister sent
Right.
me some music by Erica Badu, I looked up I looked her up, and then I think Spotify just brought up a bunch of suggestions for other artists to check out, and D'Angelo was one of them. And after that, I was like, okay, this is what I have to do. I was like, I have to make this kind of music. So, and I'd already grown up in the church. I knew how to play the chord progressions. It was just that vibe, that kind of like really chill, kind of like behind the beat, kind of rim shot, smooth guitar licks and stuff like that. All that stuff kind of just hooked me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. Okay. So, I mean, do you see? I mean, how do people? I mean, is there other musicians in the capital region that play some like neo soul? Or are you really the main person?
I don't really know a lot of artists in the capital region who who are like what's considered themselves neo soul artists.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the artists who have very soulful music, but yeah, not a lot of artists who do neo soul. Even though me personally too, like I'm more on an R&B kick now. That's at least the direction I'm moving into.
Okay.
More, but I love neo soul music to death. But it's difficult, man, because it doesn't have as big of a market anymore as it used to. And of course, I don't make music just for what the market is like, but I love R&B music too, and I realize that might be kind of like my foot in the door, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of soulful artists in the capital region, most definitely.
Well, I gotta say, I'm just even the one song you played just at the Martin Luther King special was "Falling in Love is a Dangerous Thing" or is it "Game"?
It's a dangerous thing, yeah.
Dangerous Thing. So that to me, the way listening to it for the first time, I was like, this is something I definitely hear on the radio, and why isn't it on the radio?
I appreciate that, man.
Because I feel like it's music that everybody could listen to and feel some type of emotion,
Word.
And especially because it's like even from the rock and roll standpoint, looking into your own music, you have your solo pieces in the song, and your voice is almost an instrument in its own, separate from just singing the lyrics, because it I don't know, with the timing of just the way you strum and sing, it's again, like you said, maybe a little more offbeat than your standard 4 progression in rock and roll. Like it has its own vibe. Is that something people can? I mean, listen. I'm guessing you have your music on iTunes, Spotify, and all that. Is that one of your newer songs? Just from an artist, from somebody who doesn't know so much about your music. When I mean that, I guess just like people watching today.
Yeah, so I actually released that song a couple days after 2018 Larkfest. Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I strategically did it for that reason, because I was like, when I got asked to do Larkfest, I knew how crazy Larkfest was, and so when I got asked to do it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be insane. And so I was like, I'm looking forward to it. I was like, I don't know where I'll be in the lineup, but hopefully, I'll be able to introduce, I'll be able to, get a few people to listen to my music. And then they told me, I was out in Los Angeles visiting for like think 6 weeks, kind of just working on music, and I was actually recording some of the song while I was in California.
Oh, no way.
So
Okay.
yeah, I recorded vocals at my boy Nico's house. Shout out Nico. And yeah, I looked on the bill again, and I was like, wait, am I headlining? And I talked to the guy who had asked me, and he was like, yeah, you're gonna be headlining. And so I was like,
wow.
I was like, yeah, let's release the song like right after this. Try to get as many people to my Instagram as possible, and then we'll put the link there and kind of like promote from that. And so yeah, that came out a little over 2 years ago now.
Is it? Do you find inspirations in what's going on in life right now with the music that you're writing today, or I mean, are you releasing music frequently? Are you a singles guy? Do you like releasing full albums? How do you go about it?
So I'm horrible at releasing music. I'm probably the worst person ever to ever release music. I only have like 3 songs out right now. Yeah, I don't know. I just am like so particular about my music. Like when it gets in the studio, like it has to be perfect for me.
Yeah.
And so finding the perfect way to record songs is difficult for me. I don't know why.
Well, going back to what you were saying about how somebody's spending hours worth of their pay on seeing you,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to perfect something and translating it to that, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, man, and it's like I just want to make sure because my live that's why I do so many shows, honestly, because I love playing live, and I'm like, that's a great way to get people connected to my music. But I'm like, if I put out this song there's a possibility is going to outlive me, you know? Like, I'm guess if Spotify is still around or streaming platforms are still around after I pass away, my music will possibly still be streamed, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm like, I want that whatever I leave behind to be my best work, which I mean, I feel like maybe I'm putting too much pressure on myself, but at the same time, I'm like, my dad was like, always pay attention to detail, and is a perfectionist when it comes to his music, and so I feel like it's something that's been passed down.
So and you said you brought up you're from a family of musicians.
Yeah.
Did you pick up I pick up a guitar because you saw your dad playing one, or was it, oh, my dad does it but I gotta find it for myself, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had to take piano lessons growing up. Which,
oh, you did?
Yeah, I didn't like that. It was like classical training, and I was like, I don't want to play classical music. I was like, I want to play either blues or jazz. But my parents were like, we want you to play classical, and that's what our teacher. That's all she knew how to play was classical. So I was playing that for a few years, and then I had like a lot of kids in like 7th and 8th grade were picking up guitar. And so I was like, oh, I want to pick up guitar too. And my dad was like, as a guitar player, he was like, if you don't like piano, he's like, I don't think you're going to like guitar. He's like, your fingers are going to hurt a lot more. He's like, it takes a lot of work. I was like, I want to try it. And so I picked it up and immediately fell in love with it, and just kind of was playing it every single day. I was like, I want to learn the most difficult stuff first. And like, so I started learning like jazz and blues and stuff, like, and learning like crazy chord shapes. And I'm happy I started like that because it made my life a lot easier down the line. So
Wow.
I took lessons for maybe like a month or 2, and then I just was like, I'll just learn this on my own. So I went on YouTube and just like learned pretty much every single John Mayer song I could learn.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
yeah, so, but yeah, my pops though is a great guitar player. Back in the day, man, he was a very successful R&B artist, but also pretty much all the guitar that you hear on his records, a lot of it was him.
So is there, what was the name of his act?
So he was the lead singer of a band called Atlantic Star.
Atlantic Star,
Yeah,
okay.
so they were actually really popping back in the 80s and 90s. Had a decent amount of hits too. So.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to go check them out after this.
Yeah, man, they have a song like, I'm not trying to brag, but shout out to my pops. His song Always was like #1 in the world for a while, and then Secret Lovers was another huge one. So he was like really doing his thing, which I think is what really pushes me to be like, dang, I really got to make sure that I'm like taking whatever I do seriously, you know, because he did so.
Now, does he fully support you playing music?
Yeah, no, he was like super. Him and my mom had been very supportive of me doing music.
That's awesome. That's always good. Having the good, just support. You need that.
Yeah, and it was cool too because just being from a creative household, I didn't feel like a lot of pressure to go to college and stuff. My parents were like, yo, if you love music, definitely pursue that, with all your heart. And so that was great to just have parents who were just supportive of me doing what I was passionate about.
That's great, dude. Just want to take a quick second to stop and just let everybody know if you do want to talk or if you do have any questions for the Age, just shoot us a comment and we'll just give them a read. But so something that you also are fascinated about, which as a videographer who works in live music, creates videos, it's cool to talk about camera gear and all that stuff when you're on a set, because sometimes most of the people I work with probably don't know what a Canon 7D is, right? So you were asking me questions at the MLK special shoot, and I was like, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. You watch all the major YouTube channels, and I was like, this is incredible. Where did photography come into everything?
So my dad actually started a video production company.
No
after
way.
He would start doing music. So he bought so I remember my cousin Jaman was always the guy in the family who was very much into videography, and so he had gotten, I think, the 5D Mark II when it first came out.
Great camera.
Yeah, great camera. And my dad was interested in it too, but the 5D Mark II was pretty expensive at the time. And they also, it was popping too. They had filmed an episode of House with some 5Ds, and the thing about the 5D is they would film with it, and then they would overheat, and then they would just swap out the body and then put a new body
way.
on.
That's
Yeah,
how
they were going through bodies like crazy with this
Oh
episode
my
of House.
God.
But it was kind of expensive. But my cousin Jaman was like, try the 70. It's a newer camera, and it shoots. It's not full frame, but it shoots 1080p. I think it was 24 frames a second, and it was it looked, the video quality was great. And so my pops ended up getting it, and then he got a couple of those. And so I grew up kind of just shooting pictures with it, but I was always so nervous because it was at the time, I think they were almost $2,000 for a 7D.
Yeah.
So this was back in 2008. And so I was really careful with it, but I loved taking pictures every now and then, even though I didn't really understand too much about how to use the camera. But yeah, as the years went on, I kind of, every time I would see a photographer, I would be the annoying kid at a wedding that was always talking to the photographer, asking them what they were using and stuff. And the photographer was like, bro, I'm trying to document this wedding. And I'm like, what kind of lens is that, man? Oh, this is a 5D, that's cool. And I was that kid. And then I would consistently kind of make these dream boards on my phone of what kind of camera that I wanted to get at some point. Of course. And I was and it was always I was really into Fujifilm, honestly.
Really? You're a Fuji guy, okay.
So yeah, when I was looking, I just love how the bodies of Fujis looked. They kind of had this like older style look to them.
Yeah.
But the picture quality was great, and so I always wanted to get a Fuji. But as time went on, I was just I was always spend my money on music gear, and I never decided to actually put money toward a camera. So it wasn't until last year in October that I was going out to California for a quick trip, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, I want to document kind of my trip." And he was like, "Hey, you can borrow one of my 70s," because he got two C100s that he's been using.
Oh my God, so, great cameras.
Yeah, so he was like, the 70s are kind of his backup cameras now.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, you can use that camera. And I was taking pictures with it, and I was showing him the stuff. He was like, so in November, he's like, do you just want to have it? And I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And then immediately I just started shooting. And so I talked to my friend Stephen Schultz. Shout out to Stephen Schultz. He's like my photography mentor, an amazing wedding photographer, and also he also does product stuff as well, but he's based out of Boston. And so I was like, you just explained some of the basics. He was like, okay, if you can get a handle on ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, he's like, I think you'll be good to go. Kind of helped me set up my camera in the menu and stuff to where it works good for me. And then I just started doing research, and I probably have watched, it has to be over 200-300 videos on YouTube about just how to use your camera, about different things, about like getting good white balance, about like compositions, which is like for me the biggest thing that I'm trying to get a grasp on.
Rule of thirds, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Rule of thirds, using leading lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've just been like, just been learning so much. And then when we talked, you were talking about Speed Booster.
Yeah, Speed Booster.
Yeah, which I had never heard of before, and now I think they're so dope. I was like, did research on them after we talked about it.
Well, that's the cool thing. It's like, we're getting technical here, but the whole different sensor sizes, things get complicated, and not everybody can afford native lens, Holy Trinity in each camera, and with what I do, like I shoot a Blackmagic. My main cameras are Blackmagic cameras on Panasonic's, Sony, and so. But my glass is Canon. It's Canon glass. I was a Canon shooter my whole life, and then switched when mirrorless started getting better. And I was like, I want to keep my lenses. I love these lenses. I especially like you want to buy a brand new Sony 70-200 f2.8. It's like a $2,500 lens. Where am I getting? You can't just drop money like that just because you want something new. So you gotta adapt what you have. And like I found out about the Speed Booster a long time ago, but I never really used it. And I won't because I was using full frame glass on a micro 4/3 sensor. So when I put it on, the Speed Booster basically takes the image and just with the glass inside, it makes it fit in a sensor way smaller than the actual lens size. And something even cooler is when you are speed boosting a lens. Like my f2.8 lenses go to f2.
Yeah.
It's like what the
more light
hell?
in.
Holy crap! And you get a little more light in. Who can? I mean, to me, one of my favorite lenses that I ever owned was a Canon 50mm f1.2.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Such a disgustingly beautiful lens. But so I wanted to test it. I was like, all right, f1.8 on this Panasonic camera. It showed up as like a 1.3. It was like so for when you're using different camera systems, having those adapters is very crucial. Especially even like non-speed booster, just an adapter.
Yeah.
Even be able to use a Sony on a Canon lens on a Sony just makes me feel more comfortable. If I want to buy a Canon, if I want to buy a Sony, I can use these lenses on both cameras.
Yeah, most definitely. And I was actually, my pops gifted me. I have it with me, but it's a Nikkor lens. I believe it's technically a Nikon lens, but
Yep.
Yeah, but it's a manual focus, but it's 55 millimeter 1.2, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like
I can imagine.
Like the bokeh you get behind like somebody too. It's the depth of field is super shallow, and like it's so sharp. So it's one of those things where because it's manual focus, I kind of have to take my time a little bit with it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but it kind of slows you down too, which is really why I want to get into film photography, because it makes you really focus on not just snapping all the time, but also working on finding really good compositions, because you have a limited amount of shots. So
yeah, you have a limited amount of shots, and it's cool. Like playing with primes compared to like a 24-70. It's like, okay, I can't just zoom in. I have to move.
Yeah.
And that's going to honestly make your photography better, because you are now experimenting with different things and just, having that excuse, okay, I can just stand in this one position.
Yeah.
So you've been able to adapt this lens to your Canon?
Yeah, so it actually...
Oh my
it's
God.
okay if I take it out?
Yeah, take it out, please.
All right, cool. So, yeah, it's
oh
actually
my God. Dylan McKenzie, please, if you know anything about this, please chime in.
Yeah, so I have this, and it has an adapter on. I think it was actually gifted by
My God.
Where is it? Here it is, right here. But it's this thing right here. Yeah, man, super nice lens. And this is the adapter, so it works with an EF mount.
Works with the EF.
Yeah. But man, I love taking pictures with this. What I'll do is if I'm doing a shoot, I'll take the pictures with my 50 millimeter 1.8, which is another great, the Nifty 50.
Nifty 50, yeah.
Great lens.
Yeah.
But I like to usually get like 1 or 2 portraits with this and be like, yeah, just stay still, and I'm gonna just focus. And the pictures that I've gotten with this are super clear.
So how is the
super-
communication with the cameras? You can adjust the aperture no problem.
Yeah, so I have to actually adjust the aperture from here. So I adjust the
Really?
aperture
Oh,
from
you
here.
adjust it. Oh,
Adjust it from
okay.
here. And then adjust the focus from here too. So it's completely manual focus.
And this is a film lens.
Yes, this is a film lens.
So just hold it up for the camera. Yeah. So this is again, the age is talking about a 55 millimeter 1.2 lens that God, I never heard of this before.
Yeah,
this
man.
is awesome.
Yeah, I'll after this too, I'll show you some pictures I've taken with it, man, because it's such a nice lens. So I've been blessed to be able to get my hands on this.
Wow. And this, does this show up as like an 80 on your 85 on your?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Bokeh.
So yeah, it's like it definitely is. That's the one thing about it. I didn't realize that because I have a crop sensor, for a long time that it was like it's not acting as a full frame, so it is the focal lengths are a little bit different. But because of that, it actually has worked out. But I have my Canon EOS R coming in the mail today, which is full frame.
You must be pumped.
Dude, I'm so stoked. I'm so excited for it today.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited to get that in the mail.
Honestly, I remember you telling me about it. I'm happy you decided to get it because that camera is awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
man.
like having a mirrorless 5D Mark IV.
Yeah.
Such a good camera.
Yeah, man.
So we got Mike Kane here. I thought this guy was a musician. He is a musician who knows a lot about photography. And then Dylan's kind of our sixth man and just a huge supporter, great friend of Mirth Films. And this is completely his jargon. He says, non-AI. I would love to have the Noct series Nikon. I do not know what that is. But that is so cool. And with and you shoot film too, or?
Yeah, I do have a film camera. It was actually gifted to me at a video shoot that I was doing. I was talking to the director, and we were talking about the difference between cylindrical and anamorphic lenses.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, you know about stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm a musician, but I'm becoming a nerd too when it comes to gear and stuff." He was like, "Hey, I want to give you something." He gave me this film camera. It's 35 millimeter, and he was like, "Yeah, take some pictures on it." He gave me like one roll of like Fuji 400. I forgot what it is. Something 400. And he was like, "Yeah, take the pictures on it." And he's like, "I'll teach you how to develop film." And I was like, "Oh, copy. I bet." So at some point, I would love to just like start doing film. So I've been like looking at a lot of like medium format film cameras.
Oh, sick! Yeah.
You get into like Contax has some really good ones, Mamiya and stuff like that. Like the 645, I think it is.
Wow. So I mean, like a medium format, with film being not the main thing that's happening in photography these days, is it cheaper to get these medium format film cameras, or?
They are a lot cheaper than the digital
I
ones.
Can't
like
imagine.
the Fujifilm one, I think the GFX like 100 I think is like $8,000.
Oh
so
my God.
They're super expensive.
Oh shit.
But the medium format ones you can get them for a couple $100. Yeah, man.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you shoot? I mean, shooting film for your first time, what was it like? I've never shot film.
Oh, you haven't?
I've never shot film.
So I haven't even got this developed. So what I knew first is I did some research on it. So with film, it's interesting because film does better when you overexpose it. So and also the film I didn't realize too is graded. So when it says 400, that's the ISO that's associated with it. So pretty much what you will do is usually I take it down to ISO 200. And then I will use my light meter in my phone and put it up, and then it will show me like if I'm at like f1.7, which is like was completely wide open for that lens on there. I think that's a 50 millimeter 1.4 on there, I believe.
Oh, sick.
But yeah, so pretty much what it does is then it will show me the settings that I need, like what my shutter speed needs to be shooting at that ISO. So it's good because it's better to overexpose with film than underexpose with film.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because even you can actually like if you throw it into editing, it's easier to kind of like, well, I think too like the highlights look a little bit better and the shadows come through more. I think that's the proper terminology for it. I'm trying to remember with film. I'm like brand new to film, but I'll have to actually see what these photos look like.
Yeah,
this is gonna be my
definitely.
first roll of film I've ever shot. But yeah, so I've been just with every shoot I do, I will just like literally take like a film photograph, just as like, just to kind of get better at it. But if they do come out good, I just want to keep doing it.
Yeah, let everyone know how they come out for sure.
Yeah, I'll definitely be posting them online and stuff.
Awesome.
So yeah, man.
That's cool. Just as a heads up, for those looking to get into photography, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just make sure don't make sure, but just understand that the best camera you have is the one on you.
Mm-hmm.
I've shot with a lot of dirt cheap cameras. I started off using, a Canon Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a beautiful, expensive camera right away. And I was able to achieve what I needed at the point in time. So start small and learn on it. Make sure you like it before investing. Because again, the lenses cost more than the body sometimes.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy. So 2021,
mm-hmm.
we're right at the beginning of the year. What are some things that people can know today about what you have coming up on your schedule?
Yeah, so as of right now, I'm probably going to release another single fairly soon. And then I'm going to be taking like a little bit of a hiatus from doing my own music. Like I still want to work with other people on their music, do guitar and stuff, help with writing and stuff. But honestly, for me right now, I really want to... I told myself I was going to give myself like 6 months to like really just dive and learn as much as I can about photography. Because I've actually learned that I actually love it.
Yeah.
And I get really excited about it. And I realize that it's another way that I can kind of just be a storyteller. And so that's kind of that's going to be what I think most of my 2020 is going to be looking like. I'm going to be trying to do a lot of that. And also be trying to work with like a lot of black creatives and stuff, and kind of make their voices heard and stuff, and try to help through my photography to be able to help them if they're trying to sell a product, or even like telling important black stories through photography. That's what I really would love to do. So
that's incredible, man.
So yeah, man.
Yeah, give yourself that break, creating that other waveform. That's awesome, man. If you ever need anything, feel free to reach out, or even just want to go shoot photos sometime.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Just knowing that you know who Jared Polin is, and like that to me is like, because I watch that guy all the time. I'm like, this guy, I don't know. It's just like, sorry, again, like relating to other people about this photography nerdy stuff. It's like there's not a lot of people like that other than the people who shoot photos and shoot video and watch YouTube. But so will we see you in the photo pit for the opening acts when you're headlining shows? I would love to.
That would actually be pretty wavy. I would honestly love to do that. And I haven't done any concert photography yet, but that's another thing that I love to do, because I love music.
Yeah.
I love music.
Yeah.
I love to like help my friends out, and there's a lot of artists who I look up to who I would love to photograph as well. So yeah, you never know. Maybe I'll
be on the lookout
there.
for the age. So again, if you want to learn more about what the Age does, you want to listen to his music, give him a follow on Instagram at I am the Age. He's right on Facebook as the Age, and thank you again so much for coming on, taking the time today in such a short notice.
Of course,
I hope nothing but the best for you, and I can't wait to see what shots you get.
Thank you, man.
And I'm definitely going to have some questions for you about these Nikon adapted Canon lenses, because now I'm thinking, okay, Nikon to Canon to Sony.
Exactly.
To adapter. And okay, here, actually, you know what? Before we end this, has anyone hired you to sing and shoot at the same time?
I have not got that. That would be hilarious. That needs to happen. If that does not happen this year, I'm quitting. That's going to be my goal.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to episode 11 of From the Office. I am Frankie Cavone. Head to mirth-films.com for all the latest live and entertainment news coverage, original video content. Again, February 15th, we have Candy Ambulance with Quilio at the Hollow. Make sure to tune into that as well. We will see you guys soon. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much, man, for coming on.
Thank you.